You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Perfections, ooh, Sin City, Montana, Coke Boys, ooh, we run the city. Homie tryna keep up, ooh, they going broke. I'll finish your career, ooh, get a rope.
Warning, 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 warning.
Dope money, ooh.
That Montega
In the spot, getting guap, ooh.
that's hard labor.
In the club, popping bottles,
Yeah, we blowing that sour.
handful of real niggas.
Rest of these niggas cowards.
How you want it?
How you want it?
Hands, gun, or the knife.
Soon as your man see the barrel,
He gon' run for his life.
bullets flying.
Bullets flying.
All right, what is going on? This is the Bleeding Edge. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. I got Rifle, Wind. We're waiting on other people to show up. And yeah, so this is the Bleeding Edge. If you're a new subscriber to the channel, thank you for showing up. And this is just a nice stream of consciousness from my lovely co-hosts here. We like to talk, and we got Billy the Goat. Ooh, wait,
Yes.
Billy, what happened to your face, man?
I made a bad joke. He got
The only thing
Got
about that
cuck-slapped.
that's important that I just found out recently is Chris Rock has admitted to be having a poor or has admitted, whether by society wringing his arm, Indian burning him into saying it, but he said that he admits that he doesn't take to social cues well.
Sounds like
Which I
an
thought was-
excuse.
Yeah, that was interesting. Like, out of it, more like nothing else really matters to me than like highlighting that specific component of how Chris Rock deals with being. And people use the term neurodivergent now, like it's a buzzword. Like, oh, I think differently to other people, and then on the other hand, you have mental illness, and like everybody's trying to fall in between there when they get canceled. They're saying, oh, I just think differently. Like so many people are now conservative
Man, just own
because
it, you
they're
know?
being canceled. Yeah, because they're being canceled now they're conservative.
They just have these excuses.
The reason I think it is the thing is they're now conservative is now because now they've had the gaze of their own quote unquote supporters turned against them. You know, they're
so-
quasi conservative.
So Chris is saying that because he doesn't understand or didn't pick up on the social cues, this is why he made the bad joke.
He was with two other women in an interview they wanted to like. It's interesting how this information is extracted from people who are in the limelight, like people like Chris Rock, because it almost seemed like a therapy session or something. Like they were trying to talk to him, and through processing the event with him, he like came to this conclusion. And I think whatever it is it's separate from how he really sees himself. Because I fell victim to that too. Like if you mess up in the eyes of society, they want to label you with a condition so that they can categorize you, and you can like
so they can institutionalize you.
Yeah.
Rock hasn't got, in my opinion, Rock hasn't got anything he needs to apologize for. You can't be there catering to other people's feelings all the time. Now, she was going to be offended in any sense, regardless. Yeah, it doesn't really matter what he had said. Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly that ball breaking of a joke anyway. You're called G.I. Jane, so what? You know, I mean, you got plenty of bald-headed women who ended up having like strong careers. I mean, look at Ripley from Alien 3. Look at G.I. Jane 1. You know, Sinead O'Connor or whatever. The singer. So,
and the thing is, sorry about that. You go ahead.
no, well, I made my point. You know, it's nothing, she took offense to it because she wanted to take offense to it.
She didn't. First things foremost, she's never. First things foremost, we're going to point it that way. She's never going to be held accountable. First things I want to say this: their open marriage, their open relationship, whatever you call it, it's dirty, completely and utterly dirty. They basically, the thing is, she was allowed to screw to fornicate with whoever she wanted to. He was allowed to fornicate with whoever he wanted to. Together, they tracked dirt into their own house. And now the dirt is now the dirt that they've been trying to sweep under the rug and hide from the rest of the world is now basically brought out to the light by her.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's all it is basically the dirt is now being brought out to the light. So instead of learning how to love the one you with, you basically say that the one that I'm with isn't worth dirt, isn't worth the dirt that I tracked in. That's what it is. It's like you're telling me the one that you're supposed to be with, the one that you're supposed to defend, isn't worth defending anymore.
Right, Win, but you got to also take into consideration too, because they're public figures and they want to air their dirty laundry out in public. Now they expect everybody else to want to wear dirty laundry now. We all got to get dirty, remember, because we can't have somebody who is a public figure be disrespected. And they've already slapped collective men in America in the face by their actions.
Quick intermission.
They've not only slapped men in the face. They slap not only men, they slap women in the face too. You know,
right?
That's a slap in the face for both parties.
Quick one.
You know what?
We'll get right back into it. I just wanted to say to Silver Bullet. Yes, you're right, brother. Yeah, Sinead O'Connor is a weird one. I don't know why she popped into my head, but I was just thinking of ball people, ball chicks. All right, back to it. Yeah. This whole fiasco, the ramifications.
Yeah, getting upset at that joke is perpetuating traditional beauty standards.
Traditional? By another generation.
Mm-hmm.
By another generation, it's perpetuating beauty standards by another generation. This is not traditional. This is new age. And the thing is, I was like,
no, but when you're missing the point, new age is the new traditional.
Exactly. New age.
I mean, a lot of time, you rock that kind of stuff.
Hello?
Hey, Daniel.
No, what is this?
This is Bleeding Edge.
Bleeding Edge? What does that mean? Is it someone cut themselves? Hello?
Yam?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, Bleeding Edge, what does that mean? What does that mean? I'm not really sure. It sounds odd. Is this like a violence? Thing?
We're discussing we discuss topics.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm listening.
Let us kind of like just sit back and just watch. Just trust me.
All right. I'm listening. Standing by.
Yeah. The thing is like it's a proverbial slap, like what I was saying in the beginning. It's a proverbial slap in the face to both parties. Both men and women. And
that sounds painful.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's crazy that the fact is, the rest of basically the rest of the world as a whole is basically going to okay this. It's going to okay Will Smith's actions, Jada Pinkett's actions. It's literally ludicrous. The fact that the public can be literally torn apart by the actions of one public figure and literally worship these public figures.
Literally worship? That sounds crazy.
They worship.
Sounds like they're in a cult. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're in a cult. They're pretty much in a cult. Hollywood ain't nothing but a cult, and they want everybody else to be a part of it.
Is this a cult? I'm not really sure what this is.
No, it is not a cult. At least not this sector.
So Daniel, what brings you here?
No, I just found this link on Google. I was just bored. I was playing solitaire, and then an ad popped up, and I clicked it, and then here we are.
That explains everything.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it said local singles in your area, and so I clicked it, and then I was here. You know what I mean?
What the piss?
Yeah, local singles in your area.
What the flying hell? All right, so this is the game Google's playing. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds mean. Sounds almost malicious.
Thanks for the info, man. Thanks for the info.
So are you a lonely single looking to hook up with someone here?
Yeah, I think that would be nice. I could use some friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, friends.
Having friends are good because you can borrow money from them and never give it back. No, because they're friends. It's great. It's like a free bank money.
Oh wow!
It's like a pile of firewood in winter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure if friends is the right definition. Maybe there's another way of phrasing it, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
You can hear me? Oh, that's good. I thought my mic wasn't working. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right, sorry. Yeah, I feel like I'm asking the same question because I have a bad signal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, this place is nice. It's nice and quiet. It's like no violence here. You know what I mean? Except cutting edge bleed that sounds dangerous.
It sounds dangerous, but we just pretty much discussed the topics, you know.
Sorry, guys. I was doing some laundry.
What kind of laundry? Like blacks, colors? What kind of whites? What kind of laundry
color
were you
protection.
doing? Were you bleaching your colors?
Yeah, I'm not sure which colors. I'm not
the
sure
blood
which
out
colors I
of the
put in
bleeding
there.
edge.
That sounds racist. You bleach your colors? It sounds racist, man.
No, the bleeding
Yeah,
from the blood.
Oh, okay.
I can't figure out what colors I put in it. They were wearing a disguise, so. So I'm not really sure which one I put in there. Yeah, wherever we left off. Yeah, with the Will Smith thing, like I think it's interesting because it's there's so many correlations with what's happening on the darker side of YouTube. And it's like you see that we see stuff like that happen all the time on Twitch and on social media, but yeah, exactly. But it's the only time normies get to see it is when it's Will Smith slapping, I guess, a socially awkward person. You know, Chris Rock is now saying that he's socially awkward.
Chris Rock is full of crap. Chris Rock is full of crap. You know.
Yeah.
Wait, did Will Smith slap someone? Will Smith slapped someone. What did he do?
Oh, yeah. Well, Chris Rock told a joke like normal comedians do. Jada Pinkett got offended. So did Will Smith because he's basically licking at the boots in the behind of his open relationship wife, who basically came to the Oscars or economy, whatever they call that thing. I haven't even seen it in so long. I don't even know what they call it. Basically getting offended and basically walking up on stage and losing whatever class he acquired.
But wait, he's a celebrity. He can walk on any stage he wants, right? He's special, right? He can just do whatever he wants, right?
Not to me. He ain't special to me. I've told generals to piss off. I've told high-ranking officers to piss off. I've told celebrities to piss off. I ain't afraid of none of them.
Wait, but if they're celebrities, they give you money if they're nice to them. I mean, that's something, right?
I don't need their money.
Oh, okay.
Daniel, they have to give. They're sending a message with that slap. You're too stupid to figure out that Chris Rock told a bad joke, so they have to slap him.
Wait, you can send messages with slaps now? When did that happen?
It's the metaverse.
The metaverse? What? Oh,
yeah.
It's like science fiction, right?
We used to have a thing called happy slapping.
Yeah, happy slapping.
Whoa, are you okay, man? You sound sick or something. Something's wrong with your mic, man.
I need to slap it around a bit more.
Yeah, get that figured out, man.
He robots all the time. It's pretty normal.
What he does, the robot? How can you tell? He doesn't even have his camera on.
All right.
He's not cammed up. Right. That is true. Oh, yeah, but Billy, actually, speaking of that, did you want to talk about the codependence, that topic? I was hoping you would lead off with a list of demands from codependent people, what they have to do, how they.
It's a really big subject matter, but if we want to tie it into this Will Smith thing, then basically he's a codependent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this is fundamentally the reasons behind his actions.
Yeah, codependence is like a drug addict thing. You know what I mean? Because you can't really do anything on your own because you're a drug addict. So you got to be codependent. It sounds like a laziness thing.
Yeah, it is kind of like very much like an addiction, and his drug of choice is his wife.
His wife's approval.
So he's hooked. He's hooked on his wife. His wife is the drug pusher. He can't live without her, and so he's going to do whatever he feels is going to keep that bond secure.
Yeah,
And it's purely out of boredom, right, Daniel? I mean, like, depending on when you talk about drug addicts like typically are never preoccupied with doing like real life things.
No.
They're just trying to get a fix.
No, this isn't boredom. This is more like, like a drug addict that's on the edge of needing their next fix kind of thing. That anxiety and that stress of
Jones
chasing that high.
Withdrawals.
Kind of like that, yeah.
I
This is sort of like trying to preempt the withdrawals. So he knows what the withdrawals will feel like. He knows that's a bad place to be. So just the idea of having that taken away from him is enough to make him go cuckoo.
Yeah, I saw an article that said that Will Smith vomits when he orgasms. Is that true? It sounds like a drug addict thing. I heard about that. I heard that's a real thing. He actually vomits when he orgasms now. He says sex makes him sick. He sounds sick.
Yeah,
What do you think he's doing? Heroin, opium, maybe jankum? Maybe he's doing jankum. You never know, though, right?
I guess.
Anything.
Sounds like a weirdo. He should probably get out of Scientology while he can. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of things he needs to do. He should probably, personally, me, I think he should leave that lever. Just me personally, and figure himself out.
Billy, what happens when a codependent person leaves?
Right.
Or attempts to leave?
Okay. Right. To make it sound sort of melodramatic, Jada's basically got his soul. So he's pretty much at this point powerless to leave. And he doesn't want to leave, because if he were to leave this relationship, then he is cast to the wind. Sorry, no pun intended there, wind. But I mean, he's cast, he's exiled out of the embrace of his security, his his sanctuary, and he's left to fend for himself, and he hasn't got the independence to be able to look after himself. This is partly why he's dependent on Jada. So he's hoping that Jada will take care of him, but she's not. She's a full-blown, pretty much NPD narcissist. So she will destroy him at some point. There's no way that she's going to somehow look after him. But in his fantasy, his blue pill fantasy, he believes that as long as he endures the test of time and whatever requirements she might have, her demands, that he'll be rewarded one day in the afterlife or something like this. It's never going to happen. She's going to hurt him.
It sounds like Will Smith should get a sex change.
He should.
Yeah.
He should cut his losses and do the hard. He should make the hard choice. I mean, part of this is his cowardness, the fear of not wanting to be alone and to have to be responsible for his own well-being and his own care. So this is partly the transactional deal he's made with his wife. Like, I will stay with you, be your lackey, if you can somehow look after me.
That's a mighty sad way to live.
It's a horrible way of living. So, this is why she basically has his soul. And he is bounded to her because, or another way of putting it, like, he has his heart in a way. So if he were to leave, now he's got no heart. Essentially, he'll be dead. So he's in a tough spot. He either stays in that situation and slowly deteriorates, which guaranteed is what's going to happen, or he breaks away, which to him will be like a form of suicide. It'll be like coming off your respirator and realizing that, hang on, you can actually still breathe, but unfortunately you're going to have to build yourself back up from the ground up and do that.
Did you say Will Smith is on a respirator? I'm sorry, I stepped away from him.
Yeah. So Jada is his life support. well, he believes Jada is his life support, so he doesn't want to leave her because he doesn't think he'll be able to survive without her.
That sounds pretty pathetic.
It is, but if he's gotten into that sort of situation to that extent, then it's, even though it's a descriptive way of putting it, to him it's quite literal. You know, you hear people talk about like, I can't live without you. There's that kind of stuff. You know, she's my soulmate. She's my other half. So it's like, what happens if someone else is your other half and you separate, so you're only half a person? I mean, are you going to survive? Well, no, not really, because you're only half a person. But these are silly ideas. These are silly little ways of looking at it. But unfortunately, for Will Smith and people like that in that position, this is how they feel, and this is what they believe to be true.
Well, you guys take care. This place doesn't seem like my home exactly. I think I'm out of my element here, but you guys enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, hey, like I said,
All right, man. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate
Wait,
it.
can you hear me? Can you hear my microphone? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I can hear
No,
you.
okay.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, I don't know if you guys heard me, but this seems like it's not my place. So I'm gonna go. Okay.
Hey, okay, it's okay.
All right.
Hey, thank you for showing up, man.
All right. Have fun. Okay.
You too.
Hey, thanks, Daniel.
All right. See ya.
See you, Daniel.
Oh, what a weirdo.
Yeah, no, it was interesting, you know. I mean, you got to admit he
I'm
did
not sure.
try. He
Not
did
sure how
try.
he got that. Not sure how he got that link.
He sounded black pill.
He seemed like,
mean,
yeah. I think he might be a guy from Twitch. Like, he seems like that kind of guy is like fire off quick insults like that from Twitch. That's like definitely his Twitch brand of black pill for sure. Yeah.
But the way I see it is like,
Q
yeah.
Q said that guy's famous.
yeah,
But
probably
yeah,
is.
definitely not the home for Daniel. A Daniel type.
Yeah.
We definitely we like let's have more serious conversations here. But no, I feel that is on point. I was gonna tie it into the manosphere because simply for the fact that you have a lot of the types where, and let me know if I can be heard. You know, is my mic working?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Fine.
All right. Cool. All right. But we have types that, you know, there's this saying like like crabs in the bucket.
Yeah.
But it's like they only pull you down if they don't see that you're going into like a vicious spiral. If they see that you're spiraling out of control, they tend to like want to support you, and then when they feel guilty, they feel ashamed, and they want to, you know, reach out.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the way you overcome that crab in the bucket analogy, like let's say you're the crab climbing out, and you've got other crabs trying to pull you back in. What you do is you give them a fucking stomping with your big fuck of boots.
Yeah.
And I think you don't let them pull you down. But
right,
so I didn't
right.
really swear, but I felt I needed the emphasis there. Crab stomping.
It can be hard because of the way that the culture, or maybe that's not the right way, but like the social cues thing, kind of like what Chris Rock was talking about. Like you want to make like it's almost you feel it's easy to be like, let what somebody's saying discourage you, but you also have to take into consideration that they have very short attention spans and they don't remember one like expression from the other. They can't really pinpoint exactly what it is you're saying, so they're attacking an anima of you instead of attacking the real you.
You got a few different areas you're bringing up there simultaneously. So Chris Rock might have some elements of codependency purely based on his excuse of not being socially adept with social cues, which is a bit silly because he's a comedian. You know,
no crap.
I mean, he's meant to be taking social cues all the time, like gauging his audience, etc., and you know, judging their temperament and things like that. And he should be pretty astute to picking up the vibe of the room. But we can give him a bit of leeway in that maybe traditionally in a more healthy, normal society, this would be the thing to do. But in one where the majority of people are all kind of cuckoo in some sort of way, then trying to gauge people's temperament, which is constantly fluctuating, might be a little harder to do in today's climate. So,
Yeah.
but here's playing off that excuse, taking responsibility and the guilt. I mean, yes, taking responsibility for the joke, but he shouldn't be taking responsibility for someone's butthurt feelings, and that's what he's doing by making that remark. He's saying like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't gauge your feelings. I didn't gauge the room's atmosphere correctly."
In old Kip comedy, it would be like, "Screw your feelings," you know.
That's right.
It was always, your feelings mean absolutely bullocks to me.
And especially when it comes to like jokes and comedians, because like saying something that's kind of sensitive to some people is kind of like part and parcel of being a bit funny, you know.
And
What I noticed, like the second most important thing about the Will Smith slap is his smirk as he's walking back from smacking him, because he senses that there's a level of humor, but he's acting in all seriousness, void of irony. Like the fact that he believes himself to be doing something humorous, but he has to maintain this veneer of seriousness.
That expression are more clues of the codependency manifesting. We'll get into that if you want.
His pride's hurt. His pride's hurt.
A lot of people are saying that this is staged. Now, I truly don't believe that's the case. And in fact, if people are saying it's staged, it makes me more concerned about a secondary issue, which is coming up. Well, is that people are so questioning, and they can't take anything at face value anymore, that they're questioning. They're like, "Oh, there must be some sort of conspiracy. This must be staged." So you can show them something that's reality based, but they'll have doubt about it, and that shows you how damaged society is in general. Like, looking.
If you look at the accounts of comedians who are in the audience during the yelling portion, when Will Smith had sat down, they were not even paying attention to what was happening on the stage. They were looking at their phones, and they were texting each other, asking what was happening, instead of paying attention to what's happening literally right in front of them.
Yeah.
Because all of production stopped when that happened. So like it's almost like our egos are tied to the fake reality of the TV show, and not actually what's happening in real life.
Right, exactly. You know? So it shows you the.
So if I'm playing a character, if I'm playing a character of somebody who is trampy, but in reality it's like I'm showing growth and progression or something like that. That is, to a person who is on the outside looking in, they have emotion. They have an emotional reaction, and then I'm supposed to say, "Oh, I'm sorry," because you don't like the way that because we as men, we're supposed to apologize for having hurt somebody's feelings just because of what we made.
Here's a little philosophy. You drive a nail into a board, and when you pull that nail out, by apologizing to that freaking board, does it change the fact that there's a freaking nail-sized hole in the board? No. What's said has been said, and it's one of the reasons why I don't apologize, because I realize that whatever's been said is said, and you ain't taking it back. You know, you can't take it back. That nail has already been driven into that board, into that tree, whatever it is. You know, I ain't apologizing because the damage is already done.
So this is the spiraling trap that, for example, Will Smith probably found himself in, where a codependent is made to feel guilt and shame, and this is their language of their self-esteem, essentially. So they have a low self-esteem, poor sense of identity. They feel guilt-ridden. They feel obliged, obligated, and
you're not getting
very shamed if they're not being compliant with the demands. So when someone starts to apologize, like Chris Rock in the way he's doing, what he's unintentionally do it. He might think that he's trying to be a bit of a peacekeeper, and this is exactly what a codependent is thinking, that as long as they don't rock the boat, they can maintain some sort of peace and harmony. So they're conflict avoidant. They don't like, they're frightened people because their sense of security is so low. So they're worried about their survival and things like this as well. So with Chris Rock apologizing and feeling bad, you know, we can see that this is the gateway to him becoming a codependent. If he's not, one day he might end up being like Will Smith, all because of this sort of irresponsible way of taking accountability for something that he shouldn't be doing.
Well, first things foremost, he's like, so how do comedians make their money? You have to understand that comedians
That's
make
true.
their money
That's a good.
by either A, talking about facts that happen in history in a joking manner, the dark things in humanity. I've always lived by this. If you don't want to make jokes about in a history book, you don't want me making jokes about it, don't do it. You know,
right. Well, you know, we're seeing the death of comedy. There's been a few sort of headlines and titles and whatnot. Of, people saying that comedy is now the next target. You know, thou shalt not laugh. So why is comedy such a problem for certain types of people? I mean, we're talking about
because it has the ability to make stronger people, to make stronger men.
Hold on, Wayne.
All right.
Let's not jump ahead, please. Like, let's just like rest in this topic a little bit.
All right.
So, like the bald-headed joke, G.I. Jane 2. It's not exactly that ground earth shattering, giggle, whatever. But it's not exactly like an all-time great. Now go back a few years where you got George Carlin, Robin Williams. I mean, Jesus, these guys are like drunk on stage making. Well, you guys probably already know, but you know and people would find there would be appreciation for it. You know, they wouldn't get in a tizzy over it. So there's a striking contrast now where people can't handle a joke like they used to, and again, it's a reflection of like the level of narcissism that's going on, because people who are narcissistic can't take a joke because you say anything. It's a bit like codependents. They also have a deep shame, and so they can't understand context very well. They can't understand whether some things are funny or not. So even if you were just making a vague statement, they might misconstrue that as not a joke, but rather as an insult. So likely what happened with Jada is that she didn't hear a joke. She heard an insult, which triggered her shame, made her feel less than. And for a grandiose narcissist who wants to be the top of, the apex and alpha or whatever, the greatest of all time, to be humiliated in such a way is unspeakable. It's a sin. It's a crime. A crime has been committed as far as Jada is concerned, and so her dog on a leash has to get justice for her. I mean, it was clear that she wasn't all that offended, really, because as soon as the slap took place, she was laughing. So this isn't someone whose emotions are really that shattered. They're fleeting, and this is another reason why, when we were talking about people's attention spans being low, is because when you have something like narcissism or even survivalistic mentality going on, it's living in the here and now. There is no sense of a linear time scale.
I think more, whereas somebody might be in a position where they're not thinking about survival, or they're maybe like they have responsibilities and stuff, but they like can manage them very well, and they're not really thinking about where their next meal's coming from or something. Maybe that's a different audience than what we have today. I think the idea of comedy during a pandemic is kind of like it's a tricky situation. I don't think a person who only has experience when during peacetime telling jokes is able to meet the challenge of, because I feel as though with the survival in mind, many comedians are also many people who are even willing to put themselves out there are also concerned about survival. Like when you talk about Robin Williams and the comedians of the past, I feel like they were making so much money that they could almost get more into what it is that they do instead of being on social media and seeing the negative criticisms of them. And like Chris Rock couldn't escape the negative survivalistic narcissistic attitude, even when he was protected on a sound stage and everything. He couldn't ignore it. Somebody literally had to go and slap him in order for it to reach him. And then I think that it's just like so many examples with grifting and in the manosphere of people like having confidence and it all being stripped away, and then now you can see it in their eyes. They're not the same person that they used to be.
I think this statement that Chris Rock makes about him not being picking up on the social cues, I think that's a bit of a cop-out answer he gave, because if it's true, I mean, in that situation, especially right after the slap, he had such presence in mind. If you notice, he was composed. He kept his cool. He took a moment or two to sort of gather his thoughts and his composure again, but he retorted with a pretty clever, not necessarily like a comeback, but he had the awareness to realize, like, wow, that is going to make for some great TV history, or however he phrased it. So he was already thinking outside of the situation. That is a skill that's now lacking in today's world. People don't think the situational awareness. So for him to make that remark that he hasn't got social cue or he doesn't pick up on the social cues awareness is a bit of a contradiction. It's a bullcrap. I think maybe he said it just to sort of pander and to cater to other people's feelings. In which case he's compromised his integrity in that sense. Because if he's not careful, that means he's going to not stand to his own truth, as it were. He'll bend the knee in order to placate to other people. So that's something he will need to be careful of. But I think he's very astute and aware of what was going on. It caught him off guard. Like he didn't realize the joke would probably get such a reaction. But he's not a dumbass at all about what was going on. Compare that with what was going on with Will, where he's totally absent-minded. Will was
basically what Billy's saying is like when you're thinking of what Will is thinking of is like he could lose everything, whereas like Chris is understanding. He has like he may feel a little bit of he may actually kind of pity Will Smith in a way, but he's basically bypassing all of that in order to fully comprehend the situation, like read the situation textually.
If you don't have the sort of, especially if you don't have like a psychological insight onto what's going on, it would seem a bit bizarre. Like from Chris's point of view or from general public, like why would a man act the way he does and just get on stage, slaps without any consideration for his reputation or his career? You know, is it really just because of to defend his honor of his wife over this silly little joke, which shouldn't really be that important? So it doesn't really mathematically compute or make logical sense. But then but this is the thing, because people will assume we're dealing with a logical person. This is meant to be somehow a logical course of action. Well, quite contrary, my dears, this is emotional. When you understand it from the point of view of this is an emotional man who's lost control, his stability is in crisis, and his slapping is his desperate attempt at restoring his sense of security, then it starts to make actual sense. No wonder he's going to have erratic behaviors, and no wonder when he sits back down, he's going to shout out, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth and things like this. And no wonder he's going to have this smirk when he's walking back after the slap, and he's walking back to sitting down, and he's got this sort of smirk and pride or whatever on his face. From an emotional point of view, it makes sense, because he feels as though now I've made my wife happy. I've done good. I'm gonna be given a dog biscuit in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas like
So,
a man on stage as a comedian, there's more uncertainty to manage. You don't know when you're doing something right, as opposed to Will, who he has the carrot in front of his face.
Here's another deep. Here's more of a black pill angle at this. So when Will went up and slapped Chris Rock, see the problem with the codependent, he's got so much self-hate, because he never feels good enough for who he is. He has to always perform. He has to be a servant, and this is how he gets his value. The more he serves as a slave, then the more he thinks he's going to get as a reward. So him as a real person is not really cutting it in life. So he doesn't like who he is. And so he doesn't feel like he's really that deserving of love. This is a transactional form of love. He must do something in order to get a reward. He's not going to get love just for nothing. So this is going back to his childhood upbringing, where really he needed the unconditional love, basically. But to jump past that section of the talk here. So he's someone who doesn't like, or codependents in general, people who don't have high esteem and instead generally feel like they're not good enough, that they need to do more. So they're angry with themselves, and they've got a very deep-seated resentment towards themselves. However, they're also denied displaying that frustration, because you don't want a servant who is beating themselves up, as it were. It doesn't make for a good slave. You want a servant to do their job. So he's denied his emotions, and how he truly feels are being denied, and he's the one denying them. He's doing it to himself. So basically what I'm trying to get around to saying is that when he went up to slap Chris Rock, really this is the metaphorical slap to himself. He's really lashing out. That pain and that slap, that anger, that's anger that he has towards himself, given a chance to be expressed.
Yes. Right.
So he's slapping Chris Rock in a way he's wanting to punish himself. I know that's a bit like mental gymnastics, what you're talking about, but
well, I understand what you're saying. Basically, what you're saying is
he can't be angry with himself. He has to project it outwards. So Chris Rock,
and if you look at the old clips of Will Smith at other award shows, he's wearing the most stereotypical, like the craziest, most flamboyant. It's a black stereotype. Yeah, but and he's wearing that getup, and he's making fun of somebody else that's bald, and he is this character, as performative, kind of funny comedic actor, and so comedy to him, it's the thing that must go on. I feel like Chris Rock and a lot of branded comedians, they kind of are always on the brink of quitting, because like what you said, it's like, if comedy's gonna die, a rational-minded person is not gonna die with it, And it's like
this dynamic
for people. Yeah,
this situation and dynamic does not it's not dependent on the celebrity status or the comedian career path or any of that. You will find this in people in general. So you made a comment earlier about the MGTOWs and the Red Pill and the Manosphere. The majority, newsflash for everyone, the majority of the men in these groups are codependents. We were all like Will Smith at one point. Now, we might not have expressed it the way Will Smith has expressed it, but this idea of soulmates and you're going to have this dream, this blue pill, fantasy that we were living in is basically the same as on a basic kind of core level is what Will is going through currently. So I get a bit upset when people, yes, he's acting like a bit of a cuck, and yes, he's being a bit of a simp, but that cucketry and that sympatry is an extension of his codependency. So his personality style is not. So his personality style is a codependent. He's not a cuck. His personality style is not of being like a cuckold. This is just one of the ways he's expressed it, but as being a cuckold. If that makes sense.
Sure it does, yeah.
It's like some other people might express it by being a white knight, or even who's the one? Is it Jack Murphy or the other one? Having his wife banging other guys while he's sitting in the corner.
That's Jack
Again,
Murphy.
Yeah.
That's
schizophrenia. Having that and then going on to make this public,
right.
Huge liminal men's group. That's like on
The
such a
seminal
huge
order.
level. Such a huge level of mental illness there.
The understanding of, because another thing when I hear people talk about codependency, I don't think they fully appreciate what the terminology means, because they'll say like they'll see someone who might be simping for a girl and they'll jump to that person's a codependent. Not as simple as that.
No.
Now here's another. All right, on a deep level now. So I want to make this a bit more clear so that everyone has a better grasp of what codependency really means. It's not so like, we'll take Will and Jada as an example. It's not so much that Will is in love with Jada herself as a person. What it is that Jada is the one who he feels is his esteem, his identity, right? So what he's really codependent or hooked on is the esteem that she's holding. It's not the person. She's like a carrier of his esteem.
Yeah, because you think, why would Will Smith be worried about losing a girl? He could get a girl very easily, right? And then,
it's not so much these people. It's what they're holding on to. Because remember, like, he operates on transactional love. He wants to do something in exchange to get something. So it's got nothing to do about people. It's about commodities. So what Will is hooked on, or like a drug, is, well, what is it that Ada has in her hands? It's his self-esteem, his identity, his self-respect, his sense of belonging, his sense of value, his self-worth. And that is what he's dependent on. If someone else came along and held those things in their hand, he'd be dependent on those, on that person. It's whoever has the keys to his heart.
Sadly. That's the sad reality of things.
yeah. And I think, like, when it comes to any artistry in that environment, you kind of have to look at it as though you're giving the only key to you inside has to come from what you're doing. Otherwise you're dependent on the esteem that you're getting from that art.
So another way of looking at it, another kind of quirky, deep way of looking at it. So there is a split, a schism that goes on. The codependent splits. If the codependent feels like they are worthless, and the person they're attached to is carrying their esteem, that indicates, if we talk about a true self and a false self, that means the person who's carrying their esteem is carrying the true self. And from the point of view of Will, he feels like he is the false self. So no wonder he's going to be attracted to whoever's got his true identity, because fundamentally he's attracted to himself. He's attracted to the true version of him because he himself feels like the faker.
He gave his identity to somebody else, in short.
Right. And it's so alluring to him because this true version, his esteem, which is being carried by someone else, is the idolized version of himself. This is the person who he wishes he could be, but he can't. And the thing is, because he hasn't got the psychological awareness of what's going on, he believes that the carrier of his true identity, he attributes it to Jada. He thinks Jada is his true identity because she's holding it. So he can't tell the difference between people. or you can't tell the difference between his identity. He's kind of merged the two together. So he looks at Jada as if Jada is his true self, but it's not. She's basically like a middleman that has, like in a poetical kind of way, has taken his heart and is displaying it, pretending it's her heart when it's his heart. So he thinks, oh, she's given me her heart. She really loves me. She's wonderful. She's all this good stuff about, she's got all these good things about her, failing to realize that that is not Jada. That's him. And that's the disconnect he has with himself. And Jada is basically like an imposter, or a scoundrel. Sort of, I mean, she can, she hasn't got the articulated awareness to put it into such kind of contextual ways, but she kind of knows deep that, like, she knows what's going on. She realizes that Will is not in love with her because she's got no sense of, she's got no core values of her own. So essentially, she's like a ghost. So Will can't be in love with her. She knows that, but she knows that Will is in love with his self-esteem that he doesn't recognize as his. And she realizes that that Will has attributed his esteem to her.
Well, yeah, most self-esteem is put on, is performative, right? I mean, if you're like, you'd be crazy if you were just like in your room alone and you're just super confident, you know, like, or like it would just be, it seems like most of what people do when they exhibit self-esteem and confidence is an act, especially if they believe in that transactional love. I think in the manosphere where you have, or were you talking?
Yeah, I'm
I
here.
think he's saying, wait, let me just finish my thought. When you have something like the manosphere, which, hate to ruin the fun, but they love when you talk about women like this, but you know, alternative currencies, sex dolls, survival equipment. I think all of these things in Shock Jock Entertainment, all of these things harbor our true self in it as well, similar to, you know, the husk, the scoundrel.
Right. When you've got self-esteem, truly, then you've got boundaries, and this is a big problem for predators. So someone who's got a good sense of self-worth and self-esteem and self-respect and etc. like that, one, they won't put themselves in such a position because they respect themselves good enough to not allow other people to manipulate them. And two, the manipulators are put off by someone who is healthy. So, you know, like the question some people bring up now and again, like, why is it girls like to go with the bad guys, or why is it guys like to go with the bad girls? It's because they are equally wounded people. These are people who are vulnerable. So someone who is, if let's say you were someone who was unhealthy, and you try to pair up with someone who who is healthy, their healthiness will trigger your illness.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So
It's
because
like,
of that, so you won't pair up. You won't be looking for someone healthy because you don't want to be reminded of how ill you are. So you'll look for how broken you are, right? Yeah. So someone the kind of people you pair up with, and this is a bit of self-reflection for people. You wonder about your past relationships and people you've interacted with. You know, it's like that thing, like, you know, the company you're with is a reflection of, you know, what kind of person you are. Well, it's the same sort of thing. So this is the funny thing. If you're complaining about your crazy ex-wife or whatever, what does that fundamentally say about you?
You're crazy.
You said that about narcissists, right? Like they have to desecrate their former selves all the time. Like they constantly have to say like who I was terrible, you know, I'm not into that anymore, or I'm not into drama, I'm not into.
Or are you not into it, or are you trying to minimize your what's the word I'm looking for? Your part in it.
Yeah, it's like it's a mismanagement of their heart and into something, they can't even have a bite of it, or else they'll go crazy. Like they'll go crazy lustful for whatever it is that they need to deprive themselves of, and they notice it
Like that. Yeah.
becoming a huge problem. So they have no way of managing it because that requires true self-esteem, solid boundaries, and then so they have to shame it. They have to crowd around it and like smother it and stomp it out.
And when they end up getting stomped out themselves.
Yeah. So with this, so hopefully, what I'm hoping out of this Will Smith situation is one, Jada is now will soon be recognized as a pretty full blown NPD narcissist. I don't know if that will.
We've been people have been calling it out for years. People have been calling it out since the table talk.
But
she will never she will never be realized as a full blown narcissist.
Well, in some ways, what matters most is whether or not Will recognizes her as a narcissist. Now, at the moment, I don't think he will because of the codependency. So, as far as in terms of like the narcissist dynamic, he may as well be he's in cahoots with the enemy, like he's in cahoots with the narcissist, so like an agent. So he basically is a kind of narcissist by extension, and it will require a significant collapse for him to realize that hang on, this woman is my downfall. She's trying to kill me basically, and at that point, maybe then, if there's any sliver of a self-esteem left, he might decide I have to fight back.
She already practically killed him.
Pretty much, yeah. The way it's gonna go, if not right, like at some point, yeah. I mean, you can't make it work with a narcissist. They are hell bent. It's part of their programming, their mechanism to. I call this the exchange, where one must die for the other to live. So Will must die for Jada to live. This is part of that transactional.
What I think is going to happen. Will's going to commit suicide. It's going to be a series of progression of events, and literally his actions at the, I don't know if it's called the Oscars. His actions at the Oscars is the trigger.
Yeah.
To his downfall.
If he is to recover and become red-pilled and get into this kind of like healing and recovery work, then in a spiritual kind of way, he does have to commit. He does have to die. He cannot. The only way you can live in this fantasy is by being a servant, like basically, like the way he is. So the only way he's going to be free of this fantasy is by allowing that dream to die. As long as he's got hope, then he's going to stay committed. As long as he thinks there's somehow some reward if he stays faithful to his wife, then he's going to be trapped. His spirit is not with us or whatever. So he has to allow that hope and that dream and who he thought he was. It all must die. He must hit rock bottom. And that's another reason, that fear, because people who are codependent are very scared because they don't know that their sense of security and safety is in turmoil. So the idea of hitting rock bottom is devastating. Just to think about it, it's devastating. But it's either he does it or he stays in a living death. So it's not going to be easy for him. And I think a lot of people in the red pill community would understand that sort of paradigm decision. It's usually your hand has been forced to take the red pill. Like, you don't take it generally willingly, because if there's some possibility of you staying in the blue pill and making it still work somehow, then you'd stay committed to it. So it's usually because like the wife has filed for a divorce and taken the kids away, or whatever the circumstance is. But it's usually a last resort where it's the choice is either will you hit rock bottom and you die, commit suicide literally, or you hit rock bottom and now you take the red pill and you wake the F up. You know, but that also
I think-
requires
yeah.
a spiritual. That also requires a spiritual depth in a way because of what we're just discussing. You know, and then hopefully this is this is what I would like to see happen is that Will suddenly now he starts having to fight for himself, and then he's becoming a bit like a red pill. Then now he hopefully would have a sense of being reborn, taking responsibility for his own life instead of passing it on to other people, i.e. Jada, and hoping Jada, a bloody narcissist, is going to look after him. You know, this is an infantile way of going through life. So basically, people who are blue-pilled, people who are codependent, people who are stuck in relationship dynamics like this are children. And when you die, this is you now maturing into adulthood. You have to allow the psychological child in you to die. That means there's going to be a grieving process as well. So it's a lot of stuff to take on board. You know, I mean, I feel sorry for the guy. I'm not a huge fan of his work or anything like that, but just in terms of like the emotional and as a man with all this sort of stuff going on and the psychological disorders and things like that, I feel sorry. I don't
feel nothing for him.
He's in.
I mean, look here. I love Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I love Men in Black. The Men in Black movies, and I mean, I enjoy Pursuit of Happiness. I've never met the man. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he's like. Never had a conversation. I don't feel nothing for him. You know, I feel absolutely nothing for him. You know,
that's fine. That's all right. You don't have to.
I just,
like,
yeah, Glenn, that's you don't have to feel anything for a guy that's on TV.
I mean, it doesn't even like me feeling sorry for him. It doesn't really mean anything. That's not going to do him any good.
Right?
No, it isn't. It's your choice whether or not you want to feel bad for him, Lynn. You don't have to not feel bad for him,
right?
Because of whatever somebody has to say. You can have empathy, and the thing is, for me, it's like, I haven't seen any of his recent movies, so I guess my understanding of him. But I see what I kind of understand, like the niche that he's carved out in Hollywood. You know, he's just like the go-to guy. He's on everything. You see him everywhere, almost as much as like The Rock and Kevin Hart and stuff like that. So he's definitely wields the power that at least visually, that everyone gives to him. So I mean, it's no use trying to tear him down because he is where he is at on the totem pole.
Like I said, I mean, it's what it is. It's like I've got my life to live. He's got his life to live, and like our lives have never intersected, except for on television, except for behind a screen. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if he's real. Well, but in a sense of, not in the sense of reality type things, it's the sense of how would I explain this?
I get it. You're unsure of how authentic of a person he is.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed that about even just anybody. I mean, when it comes to meeting a challenge or something, a lot of people don't stay true to who they are, or if they are like for me, for example. Like if you ever express wanting to be a better person, no one's ever going to accept you the way that you are.
Right.
They're going to they're warning against looking a certain way, talking a certain way, acting a certain way. They want you to be wary of all the fears, and it's almost like
they want you to be like them.
Yeah, no, for sure, and that's kind of. If you seems like you want to talk, do you want to go ahead and lead us into that topic, because I think we talked about Will enough.
Yeah,
sure.
They want you to be like them. They don't want you. They want you. They want you in a sense of like as we said, codependency. They want you to be saying, "Oh, this, you can't be doing this because yada yada yada, this, that, and the reason because this person is down." No, you have to be like they don't want you to be yourself. They want you to be just in a crabs in a barrel, and the crabs in a bucket. Maryland crabs in a bucket. They don't want you to move on, even though it's best for you. They want you to stay stagnant. They want you to be they want you to be a filthy mosquito-ridden pond or pond scum.
They want you to remain a child because a child can be controlled. So what they fear you becoming a man.
Exactly. They fear you becoming a man. Because if they don't have their control over you, then you can lash out against them. You know, they don't like and one thing a man is capable of doing that they fear is calling them out on their BS. They fear being called out. You know?
I fear for these men, women, whoever. I fear for their children because they respect only your age. They don't respect your senses. They don't respect your situational awareness. If you are happen to be blessed with it, they don't respect your personality. They don't respect any of that.
Back in the day, men were soft spoken, but their words carried power and weight.
Now it's different.
Now it's different. Now it's the louder they scream, and it carries significance. It's like there's nobody that's going to sit back and think about their words in a critical sense. You know, I was taught how to talk like a man by another man. My father, my grandfather, my uncles, you know, and I learned a lot of things that men should and should not do that are literally female traits, like from other family members that didn't grasp onto that lesson because they were raised by single mothers. Like literally social media exposes a lot of people.
Yeah, social media is a big place for children of like just people who have low self-esteem. They flock to social media. You know,
right? They flock to social media. A family member will literally go in through your room and take pictures to expose you on social media, to discredit you on social media. You know, and like if your room's not the cleanest because you're tired, because you're working late hours, you don't have the energy to do it, and you literally got to choose between your room and work because you're like literally getting beat up at your job. They're going to and certain aspects of your house has been neglected. They use these feminine traits to discredit you, to hurt you, you know. And men do not typically do that. Men will say, "Hey, man, you've been screwing up lately. Are you okay? Oh, you're tired? Let me help you out. Let me help you out of the situation. Let me help you out of this because you're tired. I know if we could do this together, we could do this together. If we do this together, you'll be able to live a better life. And all you have to do is just basically, I'll work with you, you know, because I know that you're tired. I know that you're beat up. I know that your mind and your body's is in disrepair, and that's reflecting in your household. Men don't do that anymore. That these quote unquote men that we have today, they are not men. They would not survive. These type of men who basically use social media to discredit anybody, like take pictures of your messy house and post it. Whether it's a man or a woman, it's still a feminine. Whether it's a man's house or a woman's house that's in disrepair, it's still a feminine trait. You know, it's still a feminine trait.
You said something about you're basically like talking about cleanliness, which I thought was I think it's interesting, but it's also very surface level. But I get where you're coming from too.
Yeah,
They do like to kind of like spell Jordan Peterson and like self-help people. They're like cleanliness is next to godliness. That to them, you know, they're just like
yeah.
they're like, and it's like who's determining that? You know, like in terms of
And it's a
domestically, if you
in
have
a
a clean house,
society.
but you know, most people that you see, they got
It's
clean
societal.
houses in clean live-in
Yeah.
situations and stuff, and then like all of a sudden they broke up. So then
It's
like
yeah.
what's the point of being clean all the time if
It
you
was
guys are
the
living
yeah.
in
The
turmoil?
Yeah.
I
the
don't
It's
understand.
idea,
based on survival. You know,
the
it's
idea,
based on.
well,
Oh, you go ahead.
um, well, I'll do this in a backwards looking way, so I'll kind of circle back around. So, someone who's like a codependent, they don't care about themselves. They don't think they're worth it. So as a result, they'll not see to their own hygiene and cleanliness, and they won't seek help. They'll be because they'll feel ashamed. A servant can't ask for help. He's meant to be the servant. He's like the bottom of the ladder. So he won't go to a doctor's, for example. The more he suffers, the more he thinks this is going to be a reward. So what it says then, if you are someone who tidies up or who are or organized and cleanliness and hygienic, and you take care of your diet and your exercise and all this sort of stuff, it shows that you think better of yourself. You've got some degree of self-esteem. Otherwise, you wouldn't bother doing any of it. And
Right.
so, what I mean by this idea of it, cleanliness is next to godliness, is because if you've got your self-esteem, I mean, that's dynamite, you know.
It's
That's
better, yeah, it's better.
value. That's
And
one of the richest things you could possibly have
yeah.
is to have self-esteem.
And
In
I'm
which
gonna
sense, it's kind of like being godly.
and I'm gonna tie it into survival. You know, if you had lived in a camp where there are like animal bones lying around or log, you basically got fire pit like fire hazards, sticks, leaves, where it could just basically it's basically on survival. Either A, you're gonna attract disease and insects and rodents and other wild scavengers while you sleep, or you're gonna basically turn yourself into a screaming alpha fire. You know, you're gonna cook yourself to death.
Hmm.
Either way, it ends in you dying. You know,
Yeah.
it's basic survival needs. You don't want to trip over some sort of like log or something and impale yourself on an antler. You know,
Although that would be funny, but yeah, no, you're right.
that would be funny. And that
Well,
would
yeah,
that would,
I think in order to make like a judgment on a scenario, you have to have some self-esteem, or else the world's just happening around you.
right.
You know, that's kind of like where you get why cleanliness is next to godliness, right? Well, God is not supposed to judge you because He made you. You know, but it's like that. That's where the spiritual part of having harmony. I think people just ignore that and they just say, "Oh, I can as long as I feel like I'm clean and have self-esteem, I can just murk anybody and crap on them and judge them because they should be more like me. They should be more like
There's always somebody.
trying to."
The cleanest person always has some hidden dirt. You know, the cleanest person always has.
Not if they're aware, not if they're hyper aware too. I mean, yeah, that my thing is like you got loud, super polished people who have like the gift of gab.
Can you clean
comedians like people who are so sensitive, so aware that they're able to monopolize all things that are like creative because we're not able to accept anything creative from a person that is imperfect.
If you clean the inside of your body, you're going to die of either malnutrition or starvation.
I'll give you guys an example, right? Yet again, we see splits going on. So the idea of a cleanliness or the self-esteem, there's a split there. What can the split be? So you would have a authentic sense of self-esteem and a superficial sense of self-esteem. Now, I'll give you an example. Over in China, in the shopping malls, they look lovely, right? They got high-tech equipment or whatever. The floors are all polished. It's all spanky and all, nice, right? So you might think, hey, this is a modern city. There's cleanliness here. This must be good esteem, right? On a society, in a societal kind of way. But when you go to the restrooms, the toilets, they are just a hole in the ground. They're filthy. So it shows you that behind the curtain, there isn't really a true sense of cleanliness. The cleanliness that they do there is for an appearance sake. It's so that people outside think we are cleanliness or are hygienic or whatever, but really, we don't do it for our own benefit. We do it as a front to appear as though we are better than we really are.
And I'm gonna get a little bit deeper into what I said when I said if you clean the inside of your body, you're going to die. The inside of your body, there are microbes.
Yeah. Can you unpack a little bit what Billy said before you go?
Yeah, like the thing is, like, it's balance, like the hole in the ground. Yeah, that is the thing. But if, like I said, there are certain parts of the country that have septic tanks. Instead of not hole, they have toilets, but they have septic tanks.
I think
like the bacteria in a septic tank eat the waste that is produced, because so it doesn't spread to the land. Instead of spreading it to the land, the bacteria is able to eat the waste produced, much like your body. Like the bacteria in your body helps break down your food.
Check out some
provide
photos.
balance.
Yeah. But check out some photos. You'll see that around the hole is just like poo. It's just nastiness. Right. But I think the distinction I'm trying to make is that, like, okay, let's say you're cleaning up your bedroom. The question is, are they doing the tidying up? Are they being clean for their own benefit, or is it for the benefit of others?
Exactly.
And that's the split.
Yeah. Like I said, if you're cleaning, like say, if you're cleaning, cleaning's for basically it's balance. You have to do it mostly. You have to do everything for yourself.
Like weightlifting, for example. That's another one. Are people lifting weight for their own pleasure and enjoyment and fulfillment, or are they lifting weight so that they can appear, whatever it is, to someone else? So where is their esteem really based? Is it in other people's perception, or is it in their own self-gratification or self-validation?
Like you have endorphins in your body after you've had a nice workout that allow you to get a good night's sleep. Like you're using.
Yeah, we talked about manic geomaxers and maxers.
The thing
before.
Is like,
and I think that there's like a very through commentary about this whole situation. Like, should we let people max or stylize their life, personalize, almost curate? Should we let people curate their lives to the point where it's totally streamlined with their own way of thinking, which could conflict with other people, or is it should we follow like an ideal? Like in terms of humor's sake. I know we're jumping back, but in terms of humor's sake, should we all be laughing at the same thing, or should everybody have their individual niche that they enjoy? Of comedy that they enjoy.
I have my own form of comedy that I enjoy. I have a very dark sense of humor. You know this. Everybody on the panel knows this. My sense of humor is very dark, and my sense of humor it rubs people the wrong way. It rubs certain people the wrong way. Like when I come in, like my sense of humor is, hey, I'm dry. Hey, there's a fuel leak in the engine block. Hey, throw some barbecue sauce. You can have me as a barbecue. I can smell like a barbecue. I have a very dark sense of humor. Like when my sister asked if something were to happen to me, what would I want?
Dude, you
To
weren't
me,
reading my.
I basically said to her face, saying, "Hey, cook, throw me in the furnace and scatter my ashes to the winds," in
You
a
weren't
joking
reading my.
manner.
You weren't reading my Facebook post earlier. I made a comment about cannibalism and barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's like,
if you guys want to key to self-esteem, therein lies the truth right there. Cannibalism.
like, dude, the thing is, there's some principles there's some principles in life. Live your life like live every day like it's your last, and don't interfere on anybody else living their day or their life. And if somebody wants to interfere on you living your life, you handle your business with the appropriate measures. You know?
Yeah, it's a little bit dark, but yeah.
But it's like, but it may be dark, but you're able to not only grow, but you're able to get the most out of life.
I mean, what I'm saying, you're talking to people who have I feel like you're talking as if you're talking to somebody who has low self-esteem, whereas like most people aren't worried about offending somebody that they're gonna what's gonna happen. Like if they say the wrong thing, they mostly just speak, and then they pay for it. They pay for it. You know, they pay for the consequences of after.
You're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to say the wrong thing to the wrong person on the wrong day. Eventually, you're going to crack an egg to make an omelet, scrambled eggs over easy, you know, or hard boiled. You're going to crack eggs. You're going to step on toes. There's no avoiding it. There's no avoiding it in life. And if you try to avoid it in life, you're gonna be living one heck of a miserable life. I'm going to tell you that much. You're going to live one miserable life. And I'm not going to live a miserable life because I was trying to avoid stepping on toes. Because that is something, like back in the day, it was children should be seen, not heard. I'm not a child anymore. I'm not a child. Guess what? I'm going to be seen and heard. You're not going to like me. I mean, whether you like my opinion or not, I'm going to be seen. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to be heard. You know? But in a sense that I'm going to do it in a way where either A, you're going to like it and respect it, or B, you're going to be pissed. You know?
Don't go Karen mode on us, okay?
I ain't gonna go Karen mode. The difference between that and Karen mode is Karen does not know when to chill. You know?
Here we go.
Karen don't know when to chill. Karen will press and press and press and press.
Well, what I noticed about Wind is he does say some stuff that comes to mind that I kind of would limit it based on whatever my awareness. Maybe he might at times have more situational awareness than me, but I think the difference between a Karen handling that is that Karens are schizophrenics. That's obviously I say that to be like really hyperbolic, but they think that everything is a plot against them. I mean, that's not schizophrenia, but they believe that even any element of pop culture, any news, any event, it somehow circles back to them, who they are. And then you may think like if you're into the healing or just dipping your toes in the healing, you may get into a spiritual category of that and try to rationalize like, but wait, isn't that what we all do? Aren't we all united? Isn't everything connected? Aren't we one being or something like that? And I feel like that's it's just another niche that harbors people who are severely mentally ill. And then like when you learn the dialogue of healing or the language of healing and stuff, you can basically become the same. You don't have to change. You just adopt the dialogue of I'm healing, I'm doing this, but then and everybody it's completely for everybody else. Like everybody else is like, wow, look, they've cleaned up their act so much.
You're not truly
they come a long way.
you're not truly healing. Right?
But it's all farce because as and it's almost like your attention is the thing that's making that person continue on like this, like carry on. Like the fact that you're paying attention to them makes it so that they don't have to hit rock bottom.
The fact is that you're not healing truly if you're just basically using the dialogue of healing. You have to basically perform actions. You have to do the actions of healing, finding out what is going on, what is damaging you, how are you damaged, how are you hurting.
Well, it's how I think that's how the jokes become misconstrued as insults, like what Billy is talking about before. If you're just healing just for other people, so other people will notice, you can't sit idly by while somebody else makes light of what it is that you're faking. For example, right. Like if you don't really care and you're just pretending to heal and you're kind of this person that really is not on that level, you have to play it up. You have to act as though it's so severe. You have to overcompensate and go in the opposite direction, or else maybe people have their eyes on you, and now all of a sudden you're not being as apologetic as you're supposed to be, and then you get swept up. Then you get put back on the plantation.
Look, I was told through other people, through not only my own mistakes, but through other people's mistakes, that apologizing to people, it just basically gives them an excuse to go after you, to attack you for whatever reason they feel they're just going to attack you, And I learned that a long time ago, And one of the reasons why in certain events I haven't apologized because, well.
But Win, you have to realize that most people, and this is getting to what Billy's saying, most people have never done a thing that pisses somebody off the way that you have pissed somebody off by, you claim to be helping. I can kind of sort of see sometimes when you're talking like you're helping people, sometimes I think like, is this dude really just trying to undermine somebody secretly? But like the fact you don't understand that most people, even content creators, they will not do something if they feel like it's not going to be well received. They create entire series based on the approval and like other people appreciating it. And I'm not talking in a way where it's like great content. I'm talking everything about it is designed to be appealing as opposed to being authentically who they are. And we've kind of facilitated it. But it's not your fault. You shouldn't feel bad because it's not your responsibility to manage how other people choose to live their life. They at some point it's going to collapse, and at that point, if they're going to come and blame you, like, oh, Wind, it's your fault that so and so's did something. I followed this person despite what you said, and it led me to disappointment again. Well, that's where they want you to apologize. Like,
life is full of disappointment. Life is full of disappointment.
Right, it is.
Did you learn anything? Did you learn anything? That's my question I'd ask. Did you learn anything? Because I did.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is motivated by fear too. They say, if you ever, it's like a cult. If you ever try to associate with people outside of this way of thinking, then okay, like you're a man, you get to do what you want to do, but just know that they're going to stab you in the back. That's the kind of rhetoric. That's the kind of rhetoric that limits people's growth in the manosphere, and it's not. it's not the main part of it. It's like most of it is good. It's just the how would you say it? Like the offline online, like the kind of like the occult side of the manosphere. They like thrive on this energy.
If you can't say same things offline as you say online, to me that's a problem.
It is.
You know,
like if you can make fun of somebody in real life, but then when you go online, you're calling them brother and
right.
I'm here for you, such and such. And then you can never be honest with them. I feel like that's just you're walking yourself into a trap.
Like I routinely make crack jokes on Tico, whatever, like literally within punching distance.
I do too. Well, I've never been within punching distance, but
I've been
he could easily destroy.
He could easily fold me in half. Yes. He could easily fold me in half. And you know what? I still make the jokes. I still make crack jokes.
He's a bad example of that because he lets a lot of stuff slide. But meanwhile, you can't say a single bad thing about most people.
Right, most people without hurting their feelings. You can't say anything about hurting their feelings, and literally, yes, he lets a lot of things slide, but he doesn't let too much. He doesn't let it go too far.
Right.
That's
why I kind of where other people are like, oh, what's Win talking about? I haven't been around long, but I've seen. I'm like, how do people not remember when Wind was or when Rifle? If anybody ever mentions anything about grifters or targets a specific person, everyone gets all up in arms, and I'm like, wait, back way before the manosphere was like a mainstream thing. Our problem was that we were just so broad that everyone thought we hated women, and women that's when women were actually coming after you and setting you up in public to fail and shaming you. And now that there's been some time and some distance from that trauma, now it's like people can't hone in and focus in on one thing, or else they'll be shamed by the collective group of mostly men online. Like women don't even. If you explain a red pill thing now to my buddy Duzangs was talking to some women on TikTok about male bitch thing. It's like if you explain this to women, they get it. They'll unsubscribe to that person. They'll subscribe to you, or they'll join in on the trolling. They'll join in on the dog piling. They'll do all this. And it's just like, if you try to explain it to a guy why it's necessary to go in on a guy like this, all of a sudden you're part of the problem. You're gynocentric now. You're not prepping. You're not doing the things that men, survivalist man, survival. You're not like, and it's an urge too. You're not like succumbing to your urge to be a survivalist. You're living in this lofty land of talking heads.
That shows a level of sort of insecurity. So then, how can I put this? If another man isn't doing what you feel is manly, then it depends on this on man A and man B. So if man B is doing something that man A isn't considering manly, like let's say he's going around talking to girls and doing some bitch talking or whatever, then it destabilizes man A because it puts into question whether he's masculine or not. So he will try and tell man B, hey, cut that stuff out, be more like me, and then I will feel better about who I am, because when I look at you, I see myself.
Here's a saying that I'm gonna say: you're not gonna get out of life alive. You can't
get out of life alive.
Exactly. You're not gonna get out of life alive. You can prep all you want. You can work, like I said. I mean, work. It's just basically staving off the inevitable. Now, how long do you want to stave it off? It's up to you.
Well, this is the thing when a lot of people are petrified of this idea. They don't want to die because they're so frightened to live.
You have to basically is my YouTube channel ain't nothing more than what I'm leaving behind, you know. Ain't nothing more than what that I'm leaving behind. Now if that legacy lasts, if my legacy on as MGTOW or Red Pill No Win.
Win. You're going to be leaving more than just your YouTube channel. You're going to be leaving memories in the hearts and minds of those you've interacted with.
Exactly.
Such as us here on the panel and in the chat room. We ain't going to forget you.
And the thing is like...
No, I will not let society forget Wind. If Wind ever goes, I'm not going to win him. I'm going to make I'm going to make at least one video a day about Wind. At least impersonating him. Or doing something, taking the piss out of him, even when he's dead.
Exactly.
Your soul will not rest on this earth. You have my word. I will not let you rest.
The wind beneath the sheets, you know.
There's so many lazy souls out here that no matter how many times they reincarnate, they refuse to actually grow and improve.
Right, but the thing is like, it's a long thing. Is like it will live. Like my legacy will live on. Regardless, because I've interacted with a lot of people. But it also will live on if my channel stays up after I take a dirt nap or after I decide to be scattered to the winds. Whatever happens, it will. Like I said, my words, if they're still on YouTube, will live. You know. Unless Susan decides to take it down, or whoever the CEO decides to take it down. You know, all of our legacies are going to live on, no matter what. You know, whether or not you are able to shape either a child's life or another man, get him out of his whatever stinking thinking that he's got himself into.
Don't put Susan in the position of the gatekeeper to immortality.
Exactly. I was gonna say, like, Wind, you're kind of like bargaining with men's search history.
Whoever the CEO of YouTube is, if there's gonna be a YouTube in the end, because in the end, that YouTube's not even permanent. You know, YouTube, social media is not permanent. One EMP is gonna will wipe everything out. It does
temporarily, you
know, but eventually it's going to be back on. And there's going to be some things that are missing, things that are jumbled together.
Yeah, imagine the first Bleeding Edge back after the EMP, and we're all just recovering.
It's going to be interesting.
That would be funny. Well, I hope YouTube sticks around for that, and I hope that's why I like to
that's what we got
play with it. If podcasts, if we ever go through like a calamity like that or something, podcasts like maybe the ones that are left may be like the only form of human interaction that isn't gut-wrenchingly horrifying. So I think these are good things to like maybe invest in just in case we need it.
If you manage to put it on a DVD, on my DVD, VHS, whatever, eventually it's going to deteriorate. You know. It's going to deteriorate eventually.
Curiosity, what number Bleeding Edge are we on? Do you keep?
I don't know. I
know. If somebody wants to call them, I want to pass it. If somebody wants to count them and let me know, I can start numbering them. Retcon numbering them.
They used to be numbered, but then at some point you guys stopped.
Did they? Yeah, I don't even remember. I think we stopped at like 30 or something. But no, we started late, and then we ended up at 30. We need to know.
Well, we need to know when we get to that 100.
Definitely, we have to have something planned. Yeah, for everyone, of course. Yeah, maybe we can have some return guests. That would be fun. But but this has been good. I mean, this has been a good talk. I think we can definitely leave some of that juicy drama on the table for people if they if they do see the need to bring something up. You can always leave a comment. Pasta got here late. Love you. But yeah, other than that, man,
I've got a bit of a gripe, Pasta, if you're listening. It's not you personally. It's just on your channel.
Pasta, listen up.
I kept getting timed out, so you need to. I don't know.
Oh yeah, and sorry. Now that we're in housekeeping, yeah, we like if anybody gets their comments hidden on my channel. If you guys are making fun of somebody, I didn't block it. I like when you guys make fun of me. Anybody else that I have on feature on my channel, I love it. So just post it. If it's hidden, then it wasn't me, and I will try to feature it. I don't mean people that are being all like weird. I don't mean weird people, but if you are making a joke, I'm not censoring it. YouTube is. And I'm working to feature those comments on my channel. So keep up the great work, guys. I love the engagement. I love the attention and the drama. I've been here for 10 months. 10 months, D-Man said.
A compilation, like the best show.
That's 40 episodes. That's at least, right? I don't know. February. That's at least 40 episodes of it. So, yeah. There you go, D-Man.
Yeah. I mean, I was there for at least 20.
I feel like it's crazy if we just started randomly numbering them, and then like after a while, you come across the Will Smith episode, and it's like episode 2, and then another one we did in the past is like 43 or something. It's all out of whack. I would be crazy if it like still makes sense in like a weird way, or if it lines up. Because we talked about we do have repeat topics. If I just clustered them all by topic or something.
The Will Smith scenario thing. I mean, this is just I don't want to say like a glitch in the Matrix, but this isn't the end of it. We're going to see more things happening. Either we're going to see Will Smith crumble further, which I think I've seen some headlines or whatever that he's like quit the academy and a few things. I don't know.
On like a hiatus. Yeah.
Yeah. Whether or not he's going to separate from his wife, or whether he's going to go the other way, and I don't know. So who knows exactly what's going to happen? I mean,
I've never seen a guy like that change in my life. I've never they won't let you see them in a place of vulnerability. Whatever it is, it's going to be societal. It's going to be accepted by society. If I don't know, I'm just trying to think of the most absurd thing. If he just ended up, maiming or hurting somebody, he's going to end up like the Jeremy Meeks guy. Like, it just does not matter where you put a person like him. He's going, some weirdo out there is going to like worship them and bail them out of whatever it is that their situation they're involved in.
If he goes back to his relationship, it's not going to be good. He might think, phew, like I'm back in my good graces or something like that. But it's going to take a toll on his fantasy that he's living in, and he's basically going back into like the lion's den or something like this. So he's not going to be able to survive going back to his wife. She's going to punish him, and she's going to withdraw love, and she's going to make it feel like it's his fault and all this sort of stuff. So he's going to feel pretty shitty going back to the relationship, even if he's going to have this cognitive dissonance. He's going to, on the one hand, believe it's for the better, but on the other hand, he's going to be like, but this doesn't feel right. This feels so wrong. I feel like I'm shit. I'm no good.
And like, I also think Hollywood is so backwards. Like, now they act like they're the Twitter mob, but in reality, all of them should be on Will Smith's side. If anybody who's famous is now crapping on Will Smith, then none of this matters. it's like none of this really truly has value. And I think what you're like, if once there's enough time and people start realizing the hypocrisy that Hollywood actually like, just not just behind closed doors, like what they do and what they shame us for doing, but this public display of now Will Smith, like just because the internet and some high and mighty masculine role models, not just to mislabel us, but like just because we were able to sway people into talking bad on him, now they're rallying behind some weird online insurgency of guys that just have always been insulted by Will Smith. It's going to collapse more than just Will Smith in his career and more than just comedy in general. It's going to fundamentally alter the way we look at celebrities. And this has definitely brought them closer to where we are at as lonely commoner people.
And that necessarily isn't a good thing.
That's what it is. But I think this is a good place to end. Thank you for showing up. Rifle had to leave early, so he is always welcome back. Daniel, you're watching this. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you.
I mean, I understand that this isn't for everybody, and it's good that you know this.
And it was respectful, and thank you for not.
I appreciate.
We've had people show up on here before, and just because we weren't really to talk about things, they had a big explosive, dramatic exit, and so appreciate you for being.
We do.
Love you. Love you is all the same. Take care, yins, guys. Billy, prophetic as always. Oh shit! Even though the slap, prophetic. Thank you for stopping by. Okay, always.
Told you once, I'll tell you twice.
When
treat yourself.
Your audience, your audio was immaculate today comparatively.
For once.
Yeah.
That's because I'm using a headset.
Me too. I got
with a mic. Oh, I got mine from my.
Thank you guys for not donating to the purchase of these headphones. I appreciate you guys giving me autonomy, or granting me autonomy to not accept your money and to get these headphones. So thank you.
And
treat you guys well. Treat yourself like milk. Do nothing but
spoil yourself.
And we are out. Thanks everyone for listening. Here, cue intro music.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Perfections, ooh, Sin City, Montana, Coke Boy, ooh, we run the city, homie tryna keep up, ooh, they going broke, I'll finish your career, ooh, get a rope,
Warning, 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 warning.
Dope money, ooh,
That Montega.
in the spot, getting guap, ooh,
That's hard labor.
in the club, popping bottles,
Yeah, we blowing that sour.
hand for the real niggas,
Rest of these niggas cowards.
how you want it,
How you want it?
hands gun or the knife,
Soon as your man see the barrel,
he gon' run for his life,
bullets flying.
bullets